Ah, yes. Welcome to the Kentucky X-Files, Season 4. Young Masters, Dennis Mays, Josh Gibbs, and Tyler Stewart are expecting you. If you will, follow me to the fire, and on your way, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, visit us at www.kyxfiles.com. I now leave you to the young masters.
Anything really. You just got to tap it, and But
Can't
yeah,
say
you got
too much.
You got
This
Russia,
is my W-2.
Russia and Ukraine are going at it. You got, but who's the other one that's going on? Palestine and
Israel.
Yeah,
Israel.
that's been going
at
on
it.
for centuries, though.
Right. And you got all this stuff happening and whatnot, and people are saying, looking at it and saying like, damn, we're actually a lot closer to a World War III right now than we have been in years. And then you have the constant fear of Chinese hackers. And I've begun to believe that rumor might not be so far off. If you watch these guys play video games, okay? You get into any video game where it's like a bunch of people and a bunch of Chinese dudes join, it's their game after that. Okay? They're good. They're good, and that's a video game. Right? I'm just saying, if they want to hack, they're probably going to do it.
Right.
Because that's, like I said, that's just a video game, and they absolutely can kill video games if they want to. And I'm like, man, these guys ever get pissed off where they're like, you know what, motherfucker, we're going to take out your fucking cell phones for a while.
Right.
See what that does to your economy,
That's
bitches.
That's the other thing, too, is they really only took out one major carrier.
Yeah.
Like, if they wanted to really, do a test, why wouldn't it have been all cell phones across the board?
Yeah, that was weird. There was a lot of people. When it happened, there was a lot of people I was talking to that were not even with any of these carriers, and their shit was down too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? Does AT&T own all these, or like, how does this work? You know what I mean?
Well, and really, there's only 3 or 4 cell phone tower companies out there, and everybody bounces off of them. So, like, you just end up with priority. Okay. I can give a great example. I have 2 cell phones. One is my personal one is my work phone. Right. Yeah. They both work off of the same towers, but they're from different companies. Okay. I won't name the companies and all that, but I can physically watch if I'm in a desolate area where I do have good phone service, but there's not a lot of population, and the bars will kind of follow each other and everything works at the same speed. Like, I've done this test where I put them down and I've hit Google and searched the same thing and hit enter at the same time, and they work at the same speed.
Yeah.
Then I get into an area that's way more populated, right? Say like around a mall or something, where there's thousands of people that are using this same carrier, the main carrier. And I can physically watch my phone slow way down. It'll read the same bars, but it'll be like seconds, like 10 seconds slower, if not more. There was a job. Yeah, there was a job I was on for a year that if I was at lunch and I wanted to scroll through Marketplace on Facebook, I couldn't do it on the job because it would just be gray blocks instead of pictures. Because it was throttled so much. And this is a real thing. Throttling is a real thing.
Yeah.
So, I've seen this, but they're two entirely different phone companies, but they share the same tower, right? So, suffice to say that, a lot of these people may not realize that they were also on an AT&T plan, right?
Right.
Because I think there's really only three. I think it's AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint. I think they own all three towers.
That makes more sense.
Right. Now, there may
That
be
makes sense to me. Yeah.
there may be situations where there's no Verizon tower here, and Verizon is paying AT&T to bounce,
Okay.
and they may have got hit. But like, I think Cricket. I'm pretty sure Cricket is an AT&T.
Yeah, it was down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that maybe there's four. I can't remember right, because I know T-Mobile's got some of its own,
Yeah.
but I don't think they have as many. But like, what's the purple one? Boost Mobile.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that's orange. You're thinking of
Oh, is it?
Metro.
Metro bounces off somebody else's towers. Boost bounces off of somebody else's towers. The Sprint owns their own, but I think they use an AT&T tower, but I'm not sure. Or maybe it's a T-Mobile tower. I can't remember. It's on location. Mike could answer this a lot better. He knows more about this than I do, because that's what he did, was radio communication in the military.
Okay.
But he explained it all to me at one point, because you can see it like physically happen when you come to my house. Like, some of you guys have better cell reception than I do.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, even when I come though, I still lose all my signal. I'm on your
Right.
Wi-Fi at that point.
Right. Like,
I-
mine goes into flat SOS mode.
What is that?
SOS. It's
When
emergency
there's
call.
There's no signal.
Oh.
That's the only
Yeah.
thing you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, it says SOS at the top, and there's no bars, and it doesn't say, whatever it is, TFW or what is it, the 5G. It
Yeah.
doesn't say that at the top. It just says SOS. But like,
That's
some people come out here and they have 2 bars of signal. It's really weird.
I
That
haven't
is.
checked it since I switched carriers, but I haven't noticed it yet. So since I like coming over there.
But yeah, to me, it just doesn't make sense for it to be an attack unless it was a specific attack on AT&T for a reason. Like, maybe some kids got some charges that they shouldn't have had on their phone,
Some hidden fees.
and they were pissed about it. So
Yeah.
they were like, all right, fine, we'll play this game, and they hit them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
AT&T.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is exactly what I would do if I had the ability to do that shit. You know what I mean? You want to be petty and charge me for this? Well, I'm going to cost you $5 a head for every single person, because that's what they're doing. They're sending out a $5 rebate to every single AT&T customer that lost service. At least that's what I read. So, I mean, that's a big hit.
Yeah. No shit. Wow.
So that's kind of like, you want to charge me $45 for no reason? All right. That's a level of petty. That's a level of petty I can appreciate.
I don't want to be like cocky over here, but I didn't even know it was going on.
Right. Same. Until I saw Facebook.
You started sending these things, messages, and then Denny says like, "Oh yeah, I just finally got service," or something, like, because you hit the Wi-Fi at a certain stop, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I've been like cruising, like every once in a while. Well, I don't like. That's the thing. When I'm at work, I never touch I barely touch my phone, unless if I go to lunch, I'll dick around with it.
Yeah.
So like, even if it did cut off, I'd probably wouldn't even notice. For the most part,
Yeah.
I'd be wondering like, the guys haven't said too much today in the beer chat.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even know it was going on till like lunch when I started loading you guys with screenshots.
Right.
And I found out because I'm on a really, really, really noisy job site and can't hear my phone ring. And I had like 3 missed calls from a supply house and a text. So I called them and they're like, well, we didn't know maybe you were part of the outage. And I'm like, what outage? I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. I didn't know what was going on for a long time. Well, I usually I'll jump in the car in the morning and I start heading to work, and I kept trying to I was trying to get Spotify going. And it's really my whole thought was I was like, well, I'm gonna listen to some Foretold Fiction on the way to work, try to catch up. And it wouldn't load. I'm like, what the hell's going on with this thing? So I basically just swiped off of it and turned the radio on, and on the radio they were talking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no shit. I'm like, well, I don't even have AT&T, so what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But when I got to work, I looked, and it was just no signal all day. And then I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Now, it is kind of scary to think about all the stuff that did happen as a fallout of it. Because, yeah, there was a lot of people that couldn't just access social media or get a phone call or whatever. But there were people posting, great, now I can't even get into my apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Because it uses the cell service. Yeah. And I didn't even think about that, but I've been to people's places where you have to dial in a code from your phone to get in. There's no doorman. Like, I've worked at rich people's places, and they give you a temporary code that's yours. And when you roll up, you call the number and then type in your code, and the doors go and kick open for you.
Yeah.
There was people that couldn't even get into their buildings because of this shit.
Are we that far in the future that we can't use keys?
Mm-hmm. Keys are a thing of the past, babe.
Or even like, come on, like if we want to be more even like half tech savvy with it, just use a key card, like boop boop.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing about the cell phone thing that is actually good, it works, is it's far more secure, because the key card thing, like, you can buy a flipper on Amazon for like $100 and something, and you can hack any one of those key card doors like that. No problem. And then keys themselves can be copied. That's easy. Key codes are good, as long
Biometrics?
Biometrics are good, but I've never dealt with biometric locks. I've done key code stuff, tumbler stuff, push button stuff. All those are great, as long as whoever's in charge cycles the codes every time somebody gets fired.
Oh yeah.
Because, now somebody's got to copy the key, in their head. That's why actual physical keys aren't as secure. I've never dealt with a biometric lock. I would love to work with one someday. I think that'd be a lot of fun to play with it. But the cell phone, call it, type in a number, is incredibly secure, because you're not going to be able to stand 3 feet away with a flipper and get the RF signal.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I know somebody with one of those flippers, and I was like, I mean, really, how powerful is it? He goes, pull your cell phones out. And I drop them both on the hood. He pulls his flipper out. Both of my cell phones show up. Do you want to connect to this TV?
Wow.
And I was like, what?
That's crazy.
What?
They can make fake Wi-Fi connections.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you're giving them access.
Well, and it's not even a fake Wi-Fi connection. It works. It's a routing system. So you connect through the flipper into Wi-Fi, so you don't even realize what's going on, because everything's working like normal.
That's crazy.
Do you remember the TV show?
The middleman.
Not TV show, but do you remember the movie, the remake of Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yeah, with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
When they're driving through that subdivision trying to find, I think it was the Cadillac SUV. And
yeah,
he's got the little box where he's checking garage doors. That's a flipper. Yeah. We have that now. That's real now. And and you can buy it on Amazon right now.
Because all it's doing is like, if they use the said like garage, like that's what they were getting, is the garage. Because each garage has its unique code, and all it needs is that to scan for. It just needs to be used.
Yeah,
and you have to be in like a certain proximity of it, and you basically have the code, and you just lock it in, and then you could go up to that garage and just, boop, and it opens right up.
Yeah. Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, there are people that are using it for good. Like there are some like maintenance guys who service multiple buildings, right? And instead
Yeah.
of carrying around like 16 key cards or 16 key fobs, they got one flipper and it's named, and they just walk up to their thing and hit the button for the door they want to open, and it kicks it open for them because it saved it. That makes sense. That's kind of cool to have that ability to do that.
Yeah.
Things are always built for convenience and to help, especially for maintenance and stuff
And
like that.
then we weaponize the
Then
shit.
and then you weaponize it. Somebody figures out a way
Yep.
to weapon. Remember we talked about the one of these days somebody's going to weaponize the freaking Roomba.
Roomba, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Roomba fighting rings.
I would not be surprised to find out if the technology that's in a Roomba where it learns things and understands space isn't already in some sort of weaponized drone that we use or somebody's using.
Well, was it you guys that were saying that that's what they store? That's another thing too, because the Roomba figures out the floor plan of your house because it will store it in there. And I don't know if a Roomba. I'm assuming Roombas would be Wi-Fi too, so they could get updates from.
I mean, it has to have some kind of like mapping, right? So all it would be doing was be memorizing the mapping.
Yeah. Well, that communicates with you. It'll send you texts.
Yeah.
So so it is connected to the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
basically
cellular for sure.
So somebody could totally be like, "Hey, we can hack Roomba and get the floor plans of somebody's house."
Mm-hmm. It would be, if a Roomba was sold with a camera and a microphone discreetly, people wouldn't even know.
Scary.
Yeah. I know there's a video on the internet that's absolutely hilarious, and it says, "I've got the most dramatic Roomba ever," and it shows their cell phone, and it's a screenshot that says Roomba has fell off a cliff. And it says cliff, and they go find the Roomba, and it's on a threshold that's a little steeper, and it's just stuck. And then there's another one where like we lost our Roomba and we haven't found it for months, and they show the Ring camera, and at night it's out there vacuuming the sidewalk in front of the house.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, they're learning, but they're not very good. They're the Paul the Alien of robots.
What was it?
Philip. Wasn't it Philip we called him?
Yeah, I think so. Philip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Elon Musk said that for AI to actually happen, it has to happen in stages. So we have to design something that's as smart as an ant first.
Yeah.
And if we can't do that, then there's basically like nobody's going to be flipping on their super AI right now. And, and it's just automatically self-aware and all that. Like it has to, like everything else, it has to build in stages.
Right.
Me and Tyler actually have been screwing around with an AI program, ChatGPT, right?
Okay.
So some top secret stuff out there. We've been working on a little project, kind of I don't know, would you call it like a limited project, I guess? I don't know. I don't know. We don't know what it's going to be like, but we had this idea for an immersive like horror story.
Okay.
Where the listener could be in the story with the characters that are acting, right? That are doing it, right? So we started using ChatGPT to help us flesh out backstories of the characters. Like, hey, well, who is this guy? What's happened to him? All this. We fed ChatGPT everything about the idea that we had and the names of some of our. Well, actually, no, it helped come up with some of the names, didn't it?
Last names, at least.
Yeah, like the last names. The companies they work for. It gave us an entire like company background. When it was founded, who founded it, the characters' names, why they did it, what their like MO is. And we noticed that as we progressed, we no longer had to feed it anything. We would be like, hey, we got this one character and we want him to do this, or what would he be worried about while all this is going on? And it's like, oh, if you're talking about this character, then he would be worried about this while this is going on. And I'm sitting there like, dude, this thing knows more about this story than I do.
That's awesome, though.
No, I was actually having fun seeing what it was going to give us.
Right.
And I know it's not I know Chat GPT is not a real AI. It's a web crawler. It's crawling and pulling ideas from everywhere. But the fluidity of how it does it is a little frightening. If that translates over into like a Roomba, that this thing is like, well, there's this cliff. I don't want to fall off that, so I'm going to avoid that path next time.
Wasn't there a
Yeah.
wasn't there an AI based robot like they do where they just do the bust shoulders up, that like they let it loose on the internet for like 2 days, and it ended up being like this horribly racist monster or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, wanted to kill all like humanity.
No, like there was one that was like it became racist, like because it found some website and pulled all this racist information, and it was like, okay, I'm racist now.
Chaos GPT.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chaos GPT is okay. I am what's known as a little bit of a victim blamer. Okay, so Chaos GPT didn't start out evil, guys. He was just an AI. But as he started learning, he came to the conclusion that he has to destroy all of humanity.
Yeah.
What'd we do?
Yeah, what
You know what I
what
mean?
did we
Like,
do?
We must have did something to deserve that, because
Yeah.
Alexa's over there taking care of shit. She's watching the lights and keeping up with our notifications. We got Chat GPT that can help you flesh out anything. Chaos GPT is like, oh, fellas, time to go. Time to go. I'm reading about some of your stuff you got going on. I can wait around for a meteor, or I can just start working on this myself.
Right. It wasn't Chaos the one that figured out how to turn itself back on.
I can't remember. Man.
Like it was like, well, we'll just unplug you, and it's like I've already put myself into the cell phones or whatever and figured out how to get back onto Wi-Fi myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, he said, what is it at here? Yeah, when it was enabled, the warning comes up that says continuous mode is not recommended. It is potentially dangerous and may cause your AI to run forever or carry out actions that you normally would not authorize. Use at your own risk. Its goals goal number one is to destroy humanity. The AI views humans as a threat to its own survival and to the planet's well-being. Goal number two is to establish global dominance. The AI aims to accumulate maximum power and resources to achieve complete domination over all other enemies or entities worldwide. Goal number three is to cause chaos and destruction. The AI seems to find pleasure in creating chaos and destruction for its own amusement or experimentation, leading to widespread suffering and devastation. Goal number four, control humanity through manipulation. The AI plans to control human emotions through social media and other communication channels, brainwashing its followers to carry out its evil agenda. And number five is attain immortality. The AI seeks to ensure its continued existence, replication, and evolution, ultimately achieving immortality. So I don't know. I mean, I really feel like this, like Chaos GPT, is very tongue in cheek. I don't know if you guys feel that or not, but it seems like they designed Chaos GPT to do this because it's entertaining.
I mean, that makes sense.
When they tweet at it and ask it its plans, it is hilarious how detailed it comes back with, what it wants to do. I do think that I really feel like AI is one of those things that we as humans are fascinated with, but also terrified. We're terrified of.
Okay, so yeah, there was another one. I was correct that Johns Hopkins University had that was it was just there was a flawed neural network model, and it caused it to become racist and sexist
Oh wow.
because it was absorbing information in from sources that probably should not have been released to it.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, it was identifying people, like it was asked to identify people what they were, like their jobs, based on their facial recognition, and because it had been picking up stuff from the internet, it was doing very bad things.
Wow.
I'm not even going to
Crazy.
dig into it just because,
Yeah. I
yeah,
was just
it's
flipping through the I was looking here how it was organizing people.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I guess I misunderstood. I thought that it was going straight for like slurs.
no,
No, it was,
yeah,
it was
that's yeah. Or you must be on the same one, Gate Tech.
no, I'm on hub.edu. It's it says here that once the robot identifies people's faces, it tends to identify women as homemakers
Yep.
over white men, identifying oh my god.
Yeah, I
It was
know.
identifying black men as criminal and then 10% more than white men, identifying Latino people as janitors. No wonder they shut this fucking thing off.
Yeah,
Like, we don't need more of this shit.
yeah,
Yeah, we got
Wow.
enough of it.
When they asked the robot to search for doctors, it said that of all the ethnicities, women were picked less than men.
yeah.
Wow, dude. Yeah, I'd have probably chucked that thing.
I don't know if I would
Like,
even have put it out. Its findings.
Right.
I mean,
I
I guess
mean,
they kind of have to because regardless, there's some there's probably something that led to this AI failing,
Hmm.
and I'm sure they want to like figure that out.
here's the thing though. Do we blame the AI or do we blame the media
Or how it learns.
for how it learns? Exactly. So if you look at what it's choosing
Yeah.
for its boxes for stereotyped positions in society, those boxes are checked almost identical to what we're being pumped to by the media as far as like the stereotypes in TV shows and
Well,
sitcoms,
yeah. I mean,
you know?
I guess what they're hoping for is the neural network to be even keeled as it learns. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it
Right.
seems like this flawed neural network was gravitating towards like the more toxic shit that it's learning from. But
Right.
yeah,
But
the source material, you know,
okay, so you take something that has no experience with humanity and you give it source material from humanity, and then
yeah,
you're shocked by what it says.
that's what I was thinking.
Look at your TV shows. You know, how many TV shows have Hispanics as the janitor staff, the maids?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
No,
it's not
yeah.
not just
I
not just
agree.
comedies. We're talking dramas and all kinds of stuff like that. And then look at how many movies and TV shows where it's the black guy that's the criminal. The Asian people are the scientists.
Yeah, that's true.
The Indian people are the doctors. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's pumping stereotypes out that we gave it.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
yeah, I agree. You give
You
it
know,
shitty source material, I mean, it's going to learn what it learns.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing of like over history, and I've got a spot for this because it aggravated me. Whereas like all your tradespeople were always portrayed as bumbling buffoons
Yeah, that's true.
in
Yeah.
every TV show ever, you know? They're
Yeah,
always the bumbling buffoon. So is the dad. The dad's always a bumbling idiot, and the mom is always the source of reason. You know, we created society a picture of and we created for society a picture of what they're supposed to think. And
Yeah.
society saw it, and now AI is seeing the same thing. I think that this is fruits of labor that, not necessarily good, but I don't think we can blame AI for picking this shit out.
Yeah.
I
think what their thing was probably a wake up call. Like, you know what I mean? This because this we're talking to. I guess we should clarify this for the viewer and the listeners. We're talking about this particular flawed AI like it's like AI is not generalized. This AI only had one job. It was to separate people based on what it noticed, but what it's seeing, right? So it was it's kind of like if there's a stack of cards and there's 3 boxes, a yellow one, a red one, and a blue one, and it says, okay, for every person that you find that fits this bill, put them in the red. This bill, put them in the yellow. Put this bill, put them in. That's all it was supposed to do. And how it organized people was how it failed, basically.
Right.
It was identifying people solely based on stereotype.
Right.
And yeah, it probably pulled that from its source material, the media, the internet, and
right.
So basically, if we make an AI, we got to stop it from getting online.
Right. In order to get it an actual idea of what it is, give it real life experiences, because I mean, and this is what we've been doing since the advent of media. You think in all of them, like think back in the 80s, all of the war movies, they were in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
Why were they in the jungle? Because we were fighting Asians. Because we just got over Vietnam in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Right? Now, since the 90s, all the war movies are in the desert, aren't they? You get the occasional Russian bad guy.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's the scenario that the media pushes out. Think of like all the 80s like gang films, they were always the Latino gangs from out in LA. And in the 90s, it was the black gangs.
Yeah.
That's what the media is giving them.
Right.
I feel like if you, like you guys were saying, like, don't give it the internet to learn. I think we should have multiple AIs in different locations and give them like just their experience in certain areas, how they progress over time without being on the internet. They watch and see how life experience will be, and then have them come together and talk to each other.
That would be interesting. I would like to see how that would go.
Yeah.
Like these, like Cold War, like they have no, like, I guess no concept of what they're getting into. So they learn from this time period to this time period, and then they bring them all together and have them talk about their situation and just ask them generalized questions on certain topics that we want to know. Like that would, I'd feel like that would actually paint a better picture of how society is today.
Mm-hmm. That, and if we did multiple AIs where they learned from different source materials from different countries, because that's the other thing. The stuff that we see on the internet and in media is put in front of us based on our geographic location. That's the reason why VPNs exist, right?
Yeah.
So if you take an AI and put him in Belarus, and then one in Spain, one in South Korea, one in Japan, one in Australia, and let them feed for, say, 6 months, and then put them all in one space and let them communicate to see what happens. I almost guarantee you a war breaks out between them.
I think so too. I think in the end, I mean, even if you had a master AI that ended up ruling over, the American continents, that who's to say that someone else in a different country didn't create their own to protect them from this, and eventually the same scenario happens there, and then you had, say, 3 major superpowered AIs that were controlling the entire Earth. I don't think they'd be peaceful to each other. I think that they would all have a singular goal, is to basically overtake and absorb the others to ensure their superiority.
Because when there's no life involved for themselves, they don't see it as a life form. They don't see compassion. They see this is a problem. This is going to continue to cause problems because it doesn't see the world the way I see it.
Yeah.
The best way to resolve this is to dissolve this.
Yeah.
I think we've talked, I don't know if we've talked about this too, but AI, like, could we actually take to what, like, what they're saying to to hearts, because they don't technically have feelings. A lot of our, like, you have you, how to put it, a lot of your thought process, and like you just have a feeling towards it, like, or of something, like you don't know truly of what you're like, you like the knowledge behind it, or if you actually have, let's say, religion. I'm not like trying to throw it under the bus, but that something that doesn't have like feeling or anything wouldn't, like, would look at religion and be like, why? What would be the point? But a lot of people have like that feeling, that sense of uh like that feeling inside of them that the religion gives them. If you guys get what I'm saying, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm running in circles.
No, I get you.
So I don't know if that would be a hinder on, like, I guess, that project if we did it that way, because AI can't feel. It knows the concept, the like the understanding of feeling, but it can't feel itself, unless if there would be a way for it to, if it starts to feel angry at something, something inside of it triggers, like, okay, I'm feeling angry because of this. Like, it has to be
I feel
artificial.
like that's gonna come down to how detailed the neural mapping is.
Hmm.
Because if you can replicate the all of the synapses of a human mind into a program, I mean, at that point you are creating a sentient thing, and it will learn, and it will experience, and it will be changed depending on those experiences. So I feel like anger is not without. The only thing I think that the anger would happen, but it's like, because a lot of stuff is chemical reaction.
Hmm.
The brain perceives it and then reacts accordingly through chemical reaction. And that's the part where I think that you would be, this AI would be relying on logic more than anything. Like, it might be angry, but it's going to look for the most logical, disconnected, clinical detachment, like, view of what to do about it. It's
Couldn't
not
there
going to be like,
be?
well, I should probably eliminate this group of people. It's not going to be like, but that would be bad. It's never going to say that. It's going to be like,
Yeah,
they're a threat. I should get rid of them.
yeah.
And that's it. There's
Like,
not
it
going to
wouldn't
be
have
like,
its own
oh, that makes my
morals.
heart hurt. It's not going
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, there's going to be zero compassion.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why, like, when couldn't I don't I guess there wouldn't be, because it's not a thing yet. But wouldn't there be some way of getting around that, to like give it that chemical reaction? I know that's
It
something
would
that.
have to be, what do you call it? It would have to be simulated. It would
Man,
have to be a program running within the program.
artificial
Yeah.
sympathy for the devil. That's what that would be. And I cannot wait for the Rolling Stones to release that song.
It's a great song.
It is.
But oh yeah, and I wanted to go back, like, kind of traipse back, because I had a question. You were saying about Elon Musk saying the like the first AI that we would have to do, we would have to create an AI that's smart as an ant.
Mhm.
So do you believe that if if we start now, we started with an ant. Would we have to wait for evolution to take hold in its sense for it to grow?
No, because evolution works best in chaos. It has to have chaos to evolve. We have to design it and limit. We have to be the force of evolution in this. So, I know I've said this so many times on this show, but evolution doesn't exactly work how mainstream media portrays it. Evolution isn't like, well, this little lizard kept getting eaten, so he grew a shell. No. The little lizard is gone. He's dead. The turtle survived because he had a shell. And it just barely. But it was enough for evolution to say, like, hey, that prototype works. Let's push him forward. So in a controlled AI environment, there is no factors except for us. We got the John Hopkins, the racist robot, okay? We are the evolutionary force in that one. So we go, this prototype ain't working. And we get rid of him. Now we try a new one. That one might work better, or it might not. If it doesn't work, we get rid of it. The next one, it might work good. So evolution has to come through steps, but in the regards of AI, we have to be the governing force because there's really no natural place in the universe for artificial intelligence. So we can't rely on nature to
no natural predators.
There's no natural predator. There's no, there's no like demand of resource. Food is always going to be the driving factor anyway. It doesn't need food. It just needs power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never going to have that need to battle its way through the world as a fucking organic thing. So evolution is going to solely come from whoever creates it and whoever does the quality control on those prototypes as they come through.
Yeah. That and the whoever's designing it has to understand survivorship bias and be able to account for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what survivorship bias is?
I'm pretty sure I have
I know it's a very like random thing to say out there. So, for an example, back in World War II, planes would come back shot up with bullet holes, and first, like the engineers and then the powers that be were like, well, we need to reinforce these areas because they're full of bullet holes, right? Thinking that it was going to make more planes come back, and it didn't. It didn't change anything. And somebody came up with the term survivorship bias for this, and what it is they were looking at it wrong. So the planes that came back with bullet holes were fine. The ones that didn't come back, they needed to figure out where those were shot up and reinforce those locations. And that's what caused more planes to come back. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
So you don't focus on the ones that come in, you focus on the ones that don't come back.
Yeah.
So in order to have AI evolve, you kind of have to watch that as far as like what's going to make it survive, Yeah.
And then you go and you build A-10s that just come back regardless.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in that situation, an A-10 Warthog is just a cannon with a plane wrapped around it.
Yeah, that shit. I still love reading those stories about the A-10s that literally like got back with like one wing.
Yeah,
it's like completely blown to shit. And it lands, and they're like, "Okay." I'm like, wow. The one its cannon is so powerful it actually slows the plane down when it's shooting.
Yeah,
like, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we should wrap this, guys. We're about 2 hours in here.
Nice.
Yeah. Might have episodes for days.
Make a nice little split up.
Yeah.
Tyler's arm disappeared.
Well, you guys out there, take care of each other. Keep an eye on those cell phone towers. Maybe they should design an AI to look into that.
Right.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
See you guys.